Welcome back to the channel, everybody. You're watching the VSO Gun Channel. Thank you for tuning in. It's excellent to have you here as always. And today, we're going to start your morning out right. I have been granted an excerpt of the shellacking that the New Mexico governor got yesterday in court. And I think you guys are going to like this one. Before we do, real quick, I'm going to take a few seconds out and pay the bills. Today's video is brought to you by Kentucky Gunworks is best known for their research and development into lubrication technology. They use their enhanced reliability oil on a daily basis, but they've started to move into some other stuff, like, for instance, they recently came out with their slings, equipped with a fast adjust that allows you to get out of it really quickly. And they've also recently released their minimalist quick-released sling retainers. KGW offers VSO subscribers a discount, and you can find that information over at the affiliates page. Special thanks to them for making today's video possible. Now, I'm going to play this recording for you, and I wanted to say special thanks to Braden Langley over at Langley Outdoors Academy for forwarding this to me. I said I would let him have first crack at it and that I would release it in the morning. I received it late last night. So, hat tip, brother. Thank you very much. Let's get into what the judge said.
The arguments today and for the thorough briefing on the issue before the court. The court agrees with all the parties here today that gun violence is a significant problem in the state of New Mexico, and in particularly in Albuquerque in the city of Bernalillo, or the county of Bernalillo. In particular, the court is, as many people have been extremely affected by the deaths of children to gun violence in this state. But today the court is faced with a much more sort of narrow issue and question, and that is whether, under the express terms of the public health order issued by the governor, and the Supreme Court precedent that I have to deal with today and have to follow, whether the plaintiffs have shown that the four factors for establishing a TRO have been met in this case. And after reviewing the motions before the court, the arguments made by the parties at this hearing, the public health order signed by the Secretary of New Mexico Department of Health, the Executive Order 2023-130, and the applicable law regarding restrictions on the public carrying of firearms, the court will grant the plaintiff's motion for a temporary restraining order and will temporarily enjoin the defendants from applying and enforcing Section 1 of the New Mexico Department of Health's Public Health Emergency Order, issued on September 8, 2023, and Section 4 of the New Mexico Department of Health's Public Health Emergency Order, issued on September 8, 2023, to the extent that Section 4 imposes additional restrictions on the carrying of firearms that were not already in place prior to the issuance of the public health order. The court finds the plaintiffs have met their burden of showing a substantial likelihood of success on the merits, given the Supreme Court's holdings in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin, District of Columbia versus Heller, and McDonald versus Chicago. In particular, the court finds that Bruin's holding confirming that individuals have a right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home supports the contention that plaintiffs have met this factor for justifying a temporary restraining order at this stage of the litigation. The court further finds that if an injunction is not issued, plaintiffs have shown they will suffer irreparable harm. Again, the Supreme Court, in cases like New York Times Company versus the United States and Elrod versus Burns, has made clear that the violation of a constitutional right, even for minimal periods of time, unquestionably constitutes irreparable injury. As to the balances of harms and whether an injunction would be adverse to the public interest, the court finds these factors also favor the issuance of a temporary restraining order, as courts have similarly found that it is always in the public interest to prevent the violation of a party's constitutional rights, and the balance of equities favors those whose constitutional rights are threatened. The court will issue a written order on the TRO, probably this afternoon or tomorrow, but it is effective as of 2:55 p.m. on September 13th, 2023, today's date, and will be in effect for the next 14 days. The court's decision today is not a final adjudication on the merits of the litigation. The court will hold a hearing on the plaintiff's motions for preliminary injunction on September 27th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in this courtroom.
So again, if you're just now coming into this, as the judge said, This is a temporary measure. It's to hold everybody over, make sure nobody gets rolled up on this until which time they've had an opportunity to look at the case a little bit more extensively. However, what I will say about this is, as the judge alluded to, it's not just an easy thing to be granted a temporary restraining order. It means that they have a substantial likelihood of success on the merits of their case to be granted a restraining order from the government in this instance. So we kind of, again, knew that that was going to be a thing because it's so wildly unconstitutional. So what's next on this? Well, we're going to have to see what the court says. But I think for this individual, as far as the governor is concerned, it would not surprise me whatsoever if she is recalled. I don't know that you can recall in the state of New Mexico. Let me look that up real quick. Signature requirements, signatures equaling 33% of the number of votes who voted in the last election for the office held by the recall target are required to force a recall election. There you have it. Personally speaking, I think that there should be stronger consequences for this. We, the people, are sick and tired of having to deal with this ever so often. These people throwing these political stunts, my phone, not yours. We, the people, are sick and tired of having to deal with these politicians that flex their proverbial power in order to whip people up. It's a waste of people's time, it's a waste of people's energy, and it's a waste of money, because all of these cases took money to litigate, and they are going to continue to take money to litigate on both sides, which, by the way, means that you are paying for both sides. The taxpayer is getting screwed. It's an absolute waste of resources to have to continuously go through this. It would be much more easily served if politicians who knowingly attempted to subvert the Constitution and infringe on the civil rights of citizens were held to account. We are sick and tired of having a double standard by which we are expected to live and they are living. Because I guarantee you that if I did anything on the order of a federal crime, if I committed a federal felony, that you best believe my butt would be hauled before a judge. You best believe they would come to my house and arrest me, whether they were actually going to get an indictment or not. This person does this, messes with the lives of millions of residents across the state of New Mexico. And, oh, well, I guess we're just going to see what their political fate is later. No, this needs to be done. This woman should be arrested for violating the civil rights of American citizens under the color of law, which is a federal statute, and should await her fate to decide whether she's going to get a trial under the decision of a federal prosecutor. We need to disincentivize this kind of behavior going forward because there is a clear double standard. Whew. If this message resonated with you, then please consider interacting with the video in some way. It tells the machine that more people need to see this kind of content, and we know that we're not going to get any help from the powers that be on this one, so thank you very much. One more thing before you leave today, keep your eyes glued to my communities tab. When we actually get the text of the temporary restraining order, I will have a link posted for that. And after I've had an opportunity to read it, if there's anything juicy in there, then I will make a dedicated video for it because you know I love my hot takes. So thank you again, and hopefully we'll see you soon.